Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of the MMA OB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, and I'm joined by my co-host, as always, here, Cole Shelton, to break down UFC Brasilia. Cole, what's up, man?
Not much. What about you?
I'm good, man. Got a pretty good card this weekend, Cole. Honestly, I saw your tweet the other day saying it's like a sneaky good card. I agree. I wouldn't even say sneaky, Cole. It's just a good card. Like, the main card is very solid. Maybe the prelims aren't, like, the greatest, but the main card is, like, as good as it gets for a fight night card. I think you agree with me on that.
Yeah, I think that's what I mean. I think it's kind of flown under the radar just because you have 248 that everyone was talking about 249 just because of the press conference. So this one kind of flew under the radar, but the main card, like, it's all really solid fights. Every single fight on the main card.
Yeah, if you add like a title fight to this card, if you added like Cejudo versus Aldo to the top, that's a pay-per-view card right there. Turn Up MMA. What's up, gentlemen? What's going on, man? We love when you join us here at Turn Up. Definitely feel free to leave any questions or comments, and we'll answer them. And that goes for everyone listening to the chat. Me and Cole love answering questions from you guys. All right, so today we're just going to talk about UFC Brasilia, and then we'll talk a little bit about UFC 248. Of course, you guys know I've talked about this card, or I should say last week's card, a couple times already, yesterday and today. So don't want to get too much, but I haven't heard Cole's really thoughts on the main event and co-main event, so I want to get those. But the main bulk of today's show will be UFC Brasilia and the breakdown of the card. So let's get right into it, Cole. And it should be an interesting card, man. I see a lot of spots where potential dogs could possibly hit, so it should be an interesting card. Let's start with the prelims. I'm using the Tapology order, so obviously that could change, but I'm using their order. The first fight, according to them, is a bantamweight bout between Veronica Macedo and Bea Malecki. The odds right now, Macedo minus 185, Malecki plus 160. Give me your pick.
Yeah, I have Veronica Macedo. It's just pure experience. I know Bea was on tough. She won her last fight, but I don't think she looked very good in that fight. I don't think due to Santana's UFC caliber either. Macedo, I know she hasn't fought in a while. She hasn't fought since August, but that was a really good win over Pauline Viana. And then if you look who she's lost to, she's only lost to Jillian Roberts and Andrew Lee, Ashley Evans-Smith. Other than Ashley Evans-Smith, those two are top 10, top 15 female fighters. I think Macedo's going to win this. I think she'd probably take down the ground, probably submit Bea Malecki.
I like Malecki here, man. I'll tell you why. Look at the size difference, dude. 5'9" compared to 5'4", and a 74-inch reach compared to a 64-inch reach. 10-inch reach advantage. For an underdog, I have to go with Malecki. I know she has one pro fight, and the fight sucked. I mean, it was a weird fight. It played out kind of strange. She was getting dominated, and then all of a sudden gets the finish. But she still has, some amateur experience. She does have the fight on the Ultimate Fighter. Macedo's nothing special, in my opinion. I mean, she does have more experience for sure, but I don't think it matters, man. The size difference is too much here. You have a flyweight taking on someone who is fighting at featherweight, and now they're meeting at 135. I have to go with the bigger fighter in this situation. 10-inch reach advantage, Cole. Like, that's massive. You don't see that very often, man. So I'm going with Bea Malecki, man. I could be wrong about it, but at plus 160 in a fight that I think is literally a coin flip with a lean towards Malecki, I think she should be favored, if anything, like a minus 130 favorite here. I have to go with the dog. I'm taking Bea Malecki. I don't care about the one fight. When you have a 10-inch reach advantage, you should win the fight, and I'm going to take her in this case. All right, next up we have a flyweight bout, men's flyweight bout between Bruno Silva and David Dvorak. Interesting fight here, Cole. Dvorak, a very highly touted prospect from the European regional scene, taking on Silva here at 125. And right now we have, according to the odds, it's pretty close. Silva minus 120, Dvorak plus 100. Essentially, pick him with a slight lean towards Silva. Who do you like here, Cole?
It's going to be interesting because Silva's obviously moving down to flyweight. His first fight in the UFC was at 243 where he lost to Khalid Taha. I like David Dvorak, though. He's a natural flyweight. He's one of the best flyweights in Europe. They're signing more, obviously. I think he's going to be a guy that wins this one. He's going to be on a lot of European cards. He's on a long winning streak. No real, huge notable wins, but some just guys he's beaten with a lot of solid records. Dvorak's really out on the ground. A lot of his wins are by submission. Bruno Silva, he's lost a couple times by submission, including on the Ultimate Fighter. That kind of worries me. I think Dvorak on the ground's a better fighter. I think he can take this one down to the ground, probably submit Bruno Silva.
Yeah, this is a close fight for sure, but I'm with you, Cole. I like Dvorak a little bit too. He actually opened as a favorite here. He opened at minus 165. For some reason, everyone's betting. So I guess because he's Brazilian, he's fighting at home, but I'm with you, man. Dvorak, look at the win streak he's on, Cole. I mean, that momentum, that should help him a lot here. That's crazy. Like, he's on a 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13 fights. Is that right? 13-fight win streak? That's crazy, man. So, that's huge. That is big against the guy in Silva who only had the one fight. He lost to Taha.
40 minutes.
He wasn't too impressive in that fight. Dvorak, I think he wins. So give me Dvorak here. How does he win? Maybe decision, maybe stoppage. I don't know. He's been stopping his opponents, but quite frankly, they haven't been like highest caliber guys. So probably decision here, Cole. But plus money on him, Cole. I'm going to take it. Turn up MMA, huge height and reach. I agree, could be the difference. Yeah, he's talking about the Malecki fight. 10-inch reach advantage. I mean, I don't know exactly what the stats say, but I'm pretty sure that the overwhelming times that happens, the fighter with the long reach wins. Like 10-inch reach advantage is very rare, and that's why I'm leaning towards her. But again, the one pro fight, I mean, that obviously come into play too. And she loses, I wouldn't be surprised. All right, next up we have another women's bout here in the flyweight division. Mayra Bueno Silva against Marina Moroz. Odds right now: Silva minus 140, Moroz plus 120. Give me your pick.
It's a tough one. I know Silva, her last win was a really good win over Jen Robertson's first round submission, but that was in September 2018. Moroz coming off that win over Spina Mazo. I favor Moroz slightly. I know she doesn't look too impressive, you see, but look who she lost to. She lost to Carlos Esparza, Angela Hill, Valerie Returno. She has a win over Joanne Calderwood. I think on the ground, they're probably evenly matched. Like, this one's going to go the distance, and I'll take the underdog in that. Just with a female fight going the distance, I'll always go the underdog.
I'm taking my third straight underdog here. I know that's kind of crazy because usually the 3 in a row don't win, but I have a feeling these 3 are going to win. I like Moroz too a little bit, Cole. I think it's a close fight, definitely close. But there's a few things I like about Moroz here. One, the UFC experience. She has more experience than Silva. I think she is a little bit bigger. She's a little bit longer. That could help her here. And also, she's been more active. Silva hasn't fought since September 2018. That's a pretty long layoff. Moroz coming off it's been a year almost since her last fight against Mazo, but still a nice win there against a good prospect. And like you said, Cole, like she has had some pretty tough fights in the UFC, like Esparza, Hill. Like those are pretty good fighters. Calderwood, Letourneau. She's fought way better competition than Silva. Silva's only had the one like decent fighter who she's fought was Robertson. She did win that fight, but Robertson at that time was kind of green. Robertson's a better fighter now. I think Robertson win a rematch. So I'm going to go with Moroz here. I think she wins the decision. Cole just outpoints her, stays on the feet, picks her apart from range, and wins a close decision. Next up, bantamweight bout, Ronnie Yaya against Enrique Barzola, who's dropping down to 135. So interesting fight here. Enrique Barzola, minus 170 right now, and Ronnie Yaya plus 150. Who's your pick?
I'm going with the underdog and Randy Yaha. Just the resting difference, I think, is going to be a huge factor. Barzola's dropping down to bantamweight, which should be interesting. And I just haven't been too impressed with him in the UFC. Like, he lost Kyle Bochniak. His last fight lost to Movsar Evlov, which isn't a bad loss, but split decision win over Bobby Moffitt, lost to Kevin Aguilar. Like, he hasn't fought anyone too impressive in the UFC. Where Yaya, I know he's coming off the loss to Ricky Simone. That was his only fight last year. But he's very dangerous on the ground. He can submit a lot of guys. So I think that's going to be where Barzola's might get caught here. But I'll take Yaya by decision just with his wrestling and pace.
Yeah, this is a close fight too. I mean, definitely, Cole, I can definitely see why you're taking Yaya, the wrestling, the grappling. I mean, the guy is really good in the ground and the experience. He's had a lot of fights in the UFC now. He's been around for 10 years in the UFC. Before that, he was in WEC. So he's been around forever. I mean, the guy's a very underrated fighter, I think. I do kind of lean a little bit towards Barzola, though, a little bit younger, 5 years younger. I know he hasn't looked great lately. I agree. He's a little bit overrated in my opinion, but I do think stylistically, if he can keep the fight standing, which I think he may be able to do, I think he could pick apart Yaya and win an ugly decision. I could definitely be wrong with this one. I could definitely see the path to victory while you're taking Yaya. And this is a fight where I might think about it the rest of the week and eventually change my pick. I doubt it, but I could. But right now, I'm going to lean towards Barzola. Very, very slightly to win a decision, but there's no way in hell I'd bet on this fight, especially at minus 170. There's no value there. The value's on the dog in this fight, and I can't blame Cole for taking him. All right, next up, we have a men's welterweight bout. Of course, it's men's, but Elizu Zaleski dos Santos against Alexei Konchenko. Interesting fight here, Cole. Dos Santos minus 130, Konchenko plus 110. Who's your pick?
Yeah, this should be a really good fight. This could be fight of the night. I favor Zaleski dos Santos fighting in Brazil. I just think he's the better striker. I know that Jing Liang fight wasn't a good one for him, but he's beat a lot of guys. Beat Max Griffin, Lyman, Good, Curtis Millender, Omari Akhmedov. Like, he knocked out him. Alexei Konchenko's coming off his first loss to Gilbert Burns, where he just got out-wrestled, out-grappled really in that one. Zaleski dos Santos, I know he's primarily a striker, but we've seen him use his wrestling against that Curtis Millender. Yeah. I think that's something he could do here against Konchenko and have success. I'll take Zaleski dos Santos by decision.
Yeah, this is a great fight. You're right. It could be fight of the night. Both guys really talented. Both guys a little bit older, like for guys that are relatively new to the UFC. I mean, DeSantis has been around for 5 years now, but Kunchenko just made his debut, last year, 2 years ago? He's 35, so he's actually a bit older for like a prospect. I wouldn't even consider him one anymore. But yeah, this is an interesting fight. DeSantos, I mean, overall, he's looked great in the UFC. He is coming off the loss to Lee, but before that, had a couple nice wins over like Millender, Strickland. That was a great win. Griffin, good. I mean, these are some solid wins. Akhmedov, like solid opposition that he's been beating. I was quite frankly shocked by the loss to Lee. I mean, Lee is good. He's got a lot of power, but DeSantos, I thought, would easily win that fight, and he ends up getting finished in that one, which really surprised me. I guess the fact it was in China, I should have thought about it more. That definitely played a factor there. In this case, he's fighting at home. Kunchenko's going all the way to Brazil for this fight. I don't like that for him. Kunchenko has a nice record here, but the last fight with Burns, I think, exposed him a little bit. He's got a lot of holes in his game, and I think DeSantos can take advantage of him. So give me DeSantos. I'm kind of leaning towards the decision call. Like, Kunchenko's never been finished, but it's possible it could be the time where he doesn't get knocked out or submitted. Next up, there's 2 more prelims. Amanda Ribas versus Randa Marcos in a women's strawweight bout. Right now, we have Ribas. She's a big favorite here, called -320. Marcos +260. Who's your pick?
Yeah, and Marcos is taking this on sort of short notice because originally was supposed to be Paige VanZant, but I'm sticking with Randa Marcos's win-loss kind of pattern. I'm going to Amanda Ribas. Ribas is just, she really impressed me. That Mackenzie Dern, I thought Dern was going to beat her, and she really showed her striking was really good. Her takedown defense, her grappling is impressive. I think she has the advantage wherever this fight goes, standing, ground game. I think she can finish Randa Marcos too.
Yeah, Cole talking about the win-loss, just craziness for Randa Marcos. If you look back, she's going with the draw mixed in, but basically win-loss since 2014, which is just crazy. So you're right, Cole. If the pattern sticks, she's going to lose this fight. But honestly, like, all jokes aside, I just think Ribas has a lot of advantage in this fight with the age. She's a lot younger by 8 years. That's huge. She's fighting in Brazil. That's big. She's coming off a couple nice wins. She's looked really good in the UFC. The wins over Dern and Whitmire. She's looked great. The Dern win, obviously, is an underdog. No one was picking her there. I will say this, though. I think the line's a little too high, though. Cole -320. That's too high. I wouldn't recommend betting on Amanda Ribas. I know a lot of people want to parlay her here. She probably does win the fight, guys, but honestly, at -320, this fight's a little closer than that. Marcos has a lot of experience in the UFC. She's fought elite competition her whole time in the UFC. If she grinds out an ugly decision, just outworks Ribas, it would not shock me, honestly. But I just think Ribas overall has some advantage, especially with the grappling. I think she'll be able to kind of control Marcos and grind out a decision. That'd be my pick. Ribas by decision. Marcos is very tough, hard to finish, so that's my pick. Next up, we have a flyweight bout, which definitely could determine the next contender at 125 after Benavidez and Figueiredo do their rematch. And in this fight, we have UC Formiga against Brandon Moreno. Great fight, Cole. Love this matchup. Right now, the odds have Formiga -165 and Moreno +145. Who's your pick?
Yeah, that should be a good fight. I favor Formiga slightly. I just think wrestling-wise, I know Moreno's really good jiu-jitsu. I think wrestling-wise, I think Formiga might be able to take down the mat. And striking-wise, I think Formiga poses more problems. I think he has the more power. Moreno, though, he's impressive. I thought Kai Kara France would beat him. Askarov, that draw was impressive. I thought he won that fight, but I favor Formiga slightly. I just think he's fought better guys. He looked really impressive. He uses wrestling to just dominate Jefferson Figueiredo. That's his only loss. Beat guys like Sergio Pettis, Wilson Hayes. There's a split decision loss to Henry Cejudo. So I think Formiga has better experience. I think he's better all around. I think he'll take a decision win here.
Yeah, this is a close fight, I mean, for sure. And the winner probably doesn't get a title shot. Love the matchup, though. Formiga, like you said, Cole, that wrestling, that's his biggest attribute, in my opinion. The fight with Figueiredo last year, he dominated with the wrestling. That's why I was shocked the way Benavidez fought him, Cole. Like, you had the blueprint right there. The guy's not great with the takedown defense, and you didn't even wrestle him. It was a very bizarre performance by Benavidez, and that's why I'm not convinced he's going to win the rematch. But overall, Formiga is a very underrated fighter. I think for the most part, like, he's been around for a long time. Never really got the attention I think he deserves in the flyweight division. Never got title shots. Never fought Demetrius Johnson. That was the one guy that never fought Demetrius, Cole. Like, everyone else, Chris Carriasso, all these guys fought to EJ. And Formiga never got that fight for whatever reason. But, he's had some competitive fights. He fought Cejudo, lost a split there. It was a close fight. Beat Pettis, beat Figueiredo. So he's really good. But Moreno is really good too, Cole. And he's coming off a couple nice performances. The Askarov fight was a split draw, but a great fight. Could have been a win for him. The Kara France fight was at that fight, Cole. A great fight. They wanted some extra bonus money afterwards from Dana White. Not the official fight night, but they got a little bit extra in their pocket. And they had that nice one in LFA after he got cut from the UFC. Overall, I think he's just really impressive. And Again, 8 years younger. That to me is a big advantage for him here. So I'm actually going to go with Moreno. He's got the longer reach. He's taller. He's younger. I like the physical attributes for him. If he gets out wrestled here, it wouldn't surprise me, I guess. But overall, I think he can probably stuff a lot of takedowns, stay on the feet, and basically go point for me and win a decision. That's going to be my pick here, Cole, as an underdog. So me and you have both picked 4 underdogs so far, Cole, which is going to be crazy. Can't wait to see what happens. All right, time for the main card here, and we start off with a lightweight bout between Francisco Trinaldo and John McDessie. The odds right now have Trinaldo minus 165, McDessie plus 145. Who's your pick?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. McDessie only fights once a year. Probably one of the, 3, 4 Canadians left in the UFC. Like, they've cut a lot of them. So
yeah,
with this fight, I think it's just mostly going to be a striking fight, and striking-wise, I favor Trinaldo. I don't expect this fight to be that entertaining. I know McDessie really likes to slow things down. His last one wasn't that entertaining. We've seen Trinaldo be in fights like the Alexander Hernandez one, where I kind of picture that. I don't think many strikes going to be thrown. I think it's going to be kind of a waiting game where they're both looking to counter. I think Trinaldo just in Brazil, just being a better striker, I think he'll get a decision win.
Yeah, I'm just looking at a list of Canadian fighters on the UFC roster. There's actually 20 fighters from Canada left, Cole, but 21 actually. But it seems like that list is shrinking every day. And honestly, I'm surprised it's 21 right now. I thought it was less than that because they're cutting everyone. This is definitely a close fight. I mean, both guys like to stand and trade for the most part. Trinaldo's a guy that I remember him for the Ultimate Fighter of Brazil, and he lost in the show. He basically sat in the stool and just lost. It was shocking. And then, he's been fantastic in the UFC. He's looked really good. He's had some great wins, Cole. Evan Dunham, Jim Miller, Bobby Green, Paul Felder. That was a huge win for him. Madero. So this guy's been around. He's fought the best of the best. And, I think he's not really like a top contender, but he's better than a gatekeeper. He's the gatekeeper to the top 15 right now, I think. He's right there on the cusp of it. So he's a solid fighter. He's an all-around fighter, and he's got good striking and pretty good wrestling. He's just a dangerous guy, and he fights well in Brazil for the most part. He always does well in Brazil. McDessie's a guy that has been around forever too. I respect him a lot. Canadian, really a pioneer, I think, for Canadian MMA in some ways. He's on a nice 3-fight win streak, Cole, but like you said, once a year he fights, and the guys he's beaten are not in the UFC anymore. Pinedo, Pearson, Trujillo, Baghdad, Campbell, Forte, Cruikshank, Stout. Like, he doesn't have a single win over a guy still in the UFC, which definitely bothers me. So I got to go with Trinaldo here, Cole. I think he wins the decision, but stylistically, it's a close fight, and McDessie has the potential to win the fight just by outstriking Trinaldo. But I just favor Trinaldo with the fact it's in Brazil and the fact that he actually has beaten some UFC caliber fighters. So ST13, go Cubs. Yeah, I picked this up when I was in Chicago last year. I love this shirt, man. It's awesome. It's so warm. I love it. All right, next up, we got a light heavyweight bout, Cole. I love this fight, Cole, and I'm expecting someone to get knocked the F out in this one. Johnny Walker against Nikita Krylov. I'll tell you right now, Cole, there's no way this fight's going 3 rounds. I would be shocked. Johnny Walker minus 150, Krylov plus 130. Give me your pick.
Yeah, I'm just looking at best fight odds. Has fight doesn't go the distance is minus 430. So that's what you got to say about this one. It's going to be interesting because we've seen Walker get knocked out before. In his last fight, he got knocked out to Corey Anderson. Krylov, we haven't seen him get knocked out in quite a long time. It was 2013 in his UFC debut. Other than that, he's always been submitted. OSP, Serkinov, Blachowicz. He's not that good on the ground, but Johnny Walker's not a challenge on the ground. But I still favor Johnny Walker. I just think striking, explosive. I think he's a bit quicker, a bit more powerful than Krylov. I think he can land something like a knee or a hard punch or a kick that really rocks Krylov and finish him with a ground pound TKO. Yeah,
he hasn't been knocked out, like you said, since the Soa Palili fight back in 2013. It's been a while, but I don't care. I mean, I just think that Walker's explosiveness, like you said, Cole, you got to bang on, man. The explosive, the speed, and the power, that's the difference here. I think he knocks Krylov out like in the first round, probably in like the first minute or two. I don't see this fight going very long. I think it's going to be quick and painful for Krylov. Give me Johnny Walker by knockout. Honestly, Cole, I'm surprised the odds are this low. Like, I know he got knocked out by Corey Anderson. People are down on him right now, but before that, man, look at the win streak he had. He had a nice win streak and knocking guys out like Serkinov, Roundtree, just destroying them. Krylov definitely had some good performances in the UFC, like the OSP fight and a couple ones earlier in his career. But overall, it's a guy who's pretty inconsistent, I think, Cole. And I like Johnny Walker quite a bit. What do you think about a bet on him? You like him too for a bet?
Yeah.
I'm
surprised he's not a bigger favorite.
I am too. I mean, there's some big favorites in this card, and I think Walker, especially fighting at home, could be bigger. But again, people are down on him after the fight with Corey Anderson, Cole. But since that fight, he went to TriStar. He's training with GSP, Rory McDonald. I know they're a little smaller than him, but still, he's getting good training in, and I think that's going to help him here. Give me Johnny Walker by first round knockout. Next up, a lightweight bout between Hanano Moicano, who's moving up to 155, and Damir Hadzovic. And Moicano is one of the biggest favorites on the card here at minus 330. Hadzovic plus 270. Actually, Moicano is the biggest favorite in the card. So who's your pick here?
Yeah, I like Hanano Moicano here. I just think lightweight, I think is probably the right division for him. I know he's a really big guy. I've talked to him a bunch. He cuts a lot of weight. And I think this is a good first step of lightweight. This is like, I was surprised because I was talking to him before this fight. I'm like, why aren't you getting a ranked guy? He's like, I wanted someone like this just to see the size difference at lightweight. Damir Hadzovic is not much of a threat. He doesn't really have any huge wins, like Polo Reyes knockout, but again, he's not in the UFC. Moicano's only lost to the top guys: Ortega, Aldo, Korean Zombie. Like those are three of the best featherweights, or like Aldo's one of the best featherweights of all time. Like I just think Moicano striking wise, grappling wise, I think he's better here. I just think he's gonna edge a decision. I don't think he'll be able to finish Hadzovic. I think he's gonna get a dominant decision win here.
Yeah, I like Moicano too. I don't love the odds though. Minus 330. To me, it's a little high for a guy coming off back-to-back knockout losses. Like, how's his chin at this point? I mean, I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit stronger at 155, but Hadzovic does have some sneaky knockout power. He finished Polo Reyes, so he can knock you out. So I would be a little cautious about just throwing Moicano on a parlay, although I fully expect a lot of people to. I just think he's the better fighter, Cole. He's got more experience. He has some really good wins in the UFC. Cater, Swanson, Stevens, Tuhugov. Those are good wins. This guy, I know he's moving up to 155, but this guy was impressive at 145. I just think the weight cut was a lot for him, and obviously we saw what happened in the last two fights, but still, losing to Aldo, Ortega, and Jung, those are not bad losses at all, Cole. Not bad at all. So, Hadzovic is a guy who's inconsistent. The fight with Giagos was pretty poor performance by him. He's had some other bad performances. I just don't trust the guy. I'll take Moicano, probably a decision because Hadzovic is very tough to finish. But, I don't love the odds. I wish they were a little bit lower. All right, co-main event time. Another interesting fight here, Cole. We got two of the best grapplers in the UFC. Demian Maia against Gilbert Burns at 170. Gilbert Burns minus 185. Demian Maia plus 160. Who's your pick?
It's going to be interesting because I talked to Burns and I'm like, normally when you get two grapplers, it's a kickboxing match. He's like, no, I want to grapple Demian Maia. And he thinks he can submit Demian Maia. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to grapple. I think it's going to be a striking fight. And striking-wise, I favor Gilbert Burns by a lot. It's just his pressure, cardio, just everything I think is better than Demian Maia. I think he might mix in some wrestling. I got Gilbert Burns by decision. I don't think he'll be able to finish Maia, but I think his striking, where I think this fight's going to take place, I think that's all in Burns' favor.
This is a really tough fight to call. I mean, to me, all the values are Maia, though, for sure. Like, this is a pick-em fight, in my opinion. So Maia plus 160, I think there is value on him. The guy's got the best experience of anyone in this division. I mean, he's fought and beaten some of the best guys for years, and he's still going strong, Cole. He's won 3 straight fights over Askin Martin and good. And I picked against him all 3 of those fights, and he looked great in those fights. So I'm not picking against him here, man. I have to go with Maia as an underdog. I just think there's value on him here because, first off, he's the bigger guy. He used to fight at middleweight. Burns has moved up to welterweight. He has looked really good, but don't get me wrong, but he's still a natural lightweight. I don't see him as the bigger guy than Maia here. Maia's biggest problems in his fights was when he fought bigger wrestlers like Usman, Covington, and Woodley. And then you have to go all the way back to the fight with McDonald's. Last time Woodley got like outstruck in a fight where there wasn't grappling. I guess the Woodley fight too, but still, Woodley's he's obviously a better fighter than Gilbert Burns. This is a big step up for Gilbert. Would I be surprised if he won? No, I wouldn't. He's looked good. Don't get me wrong. And I can't blame you for picking or anyone for picking Gilbert Burns because he looked great. But to me, all the values on Demian Maia here at plus 160. I got to go with Demian Maia, man. I'm taking another underdog. It's my 5th underdog on the card, but I think Demian Maia can do what he does best and get up close, clinch Gilbert Burns, make this a grappling fight. I think he can implement his grappling and win a decision. I don't think he's going to submit Gilbert Burns, but I think Maia rides him out and grinds out maybe an ugly decision, but it could be interesting to watch. Either way, a plus 160. I think he probably should be favored, quite honestly. I think Maia should probably be favored, so I think there's value on him there. All right, time for the main event. Another great fight here, Cole. Kevin Lee against Charles do Bronx Oliveira. Kevin Lee minus 135, do Bronx plus 115. Give me your pick.
I'm going with Kevin Lee again. I think I might have been one of the only people to pick him in his last fight against Gillespie. I'm still really high on Kevin Lee. And I know Oliveira's look good, but look who he's fought in his past 12 fights. Jared Gordon, Nick Lentz, David Tamer, Jim Miller, Christos Giagos. None of those guys are really even close to sniffing top 15. And we've seen Oliveira, when he gets a big step up, we've seen him, I don't want to say quit, but we've seen him not look as good. The Holloway fight, the Felder fight, Pettis, Lamas, like when he fights a big step up in competition, he just doesn't show up. I know this is in Brazil, but I think Kevin Lee has the advantage pretty much every strike wise. I think he has the advantage. And the problem with, I think the Oliveira's only path to victory is try to submit Kevin Lee, which I don't think is going to happen because we see when grapplers get a bunch of knockouts, they start to fall in love with their hands. I think that's what's going to happen here. I don't think Oliveira's going to try to take us down on the ground. I think he's going to try to strike with Kevin Lee. I think he's going to get rocked and finish probably second or third round by TKO.
Yeah, you know what? Great fight too. But I like Kevin Lee too, and I'm surprised the odds aren't higher. Quite frankly, I know Oliveira's looked great. I mean, this guy has looked unbelievable. Don't get me wrong; he's looked amazing. Cole, his striking's really improved. His durability's improved at 155 too. He's not like got that weak chin he had at 145. And also, he's a guy that was called a quitter for years. And honestly, quite frankly, I think that title was deserved, but not anymore. I mean, this guy's just really turned his career around. I've been impressed. And he's only 30 still, which is crazy because he's been around for 10 years in the UFC. And again, he's fought and beaten the best guys in the world. But Kevin Lee, he's looked, kind of inconsistently, but when he looks good, he looks great. Cole, the Gillespie fight was incredible. Barboza looked great. Chiesa, although that fight with the stoppage was a little sketchy, but still, the guy is freaking good, man. And, Oliveira, I still don't completely trust his chin and his striking skills, Cole. I think Kevin Lee can basically use his takedowns, his wrestling to keep the takedowns, stop the takedowns from Oliveira, keep the fight standing, and outstrike Oliveira and probably finish him. Because I don't see this fight going 5 rounds, Cole. And the odds on that, let's check that out. Minus 460. So the sports books don't like this fight to go distance either. Let me see what the parlay would be on this fight not going the distance, and then Walker. Let's see what that would be. Minus 200. I mean, that's a little more palatable. It's still crazy to lay that kind of juice, right? But still, if people want to take the fight to decision props, that's something you could do. But yeah, I do like Kevin Lee here, Cole. And Cole, I'm surprised the odds aren't higher. Honestly, minus 135. That seems low to me. For a guy that's quite frankly, is like an elite lightweight at times. And actually, Oliveira opened as the favorite, which is just crazy to me. I know he's fighting at home. That's going to help him for sure. But at the end of the day, I just favor Lee stylistically in this fight. But it should be a great fight. I mean, Oliveira is incredible. Look at his recent record, Cole. Look at all those finishes, man. That's impressive to see. But like you said, Cole, Jared Gordon, Nick Lentz, I mean, these are the guys he's beating. He's beating lower level guys. And Kevin Lee is fighting elite guys. He lost to elite guys, but he's also beaten them. The Gillespie win is so big, in my opinion. I was so high on Gillespie winning that fight, Cole, and he goes in there and finishes him with a brutal head kick. So got to go with Kevin Lee, take him by knockout here, probably in the first or second round. Overall, Cole, I mean, and that was fun to do, man. This is going to be a great card. I mean, we obviously picked a lot of underdogs. I picked 5. You picked 5 or 4 or 5. I can't remember now, but definitely a crazy card. It's going to be an exciting one to watch. All right, so that's it for UFC Brasilia. If you guys have any comments or questions, throw them in the chat room. We'll try to answer them. But
do you want to do Bellator quick?
Pardon?
Do you want to do Bellator 241? They have odds.
Bellator, we should do that next. Yeah, and then we'll talk about UFC 248. I forgot to talk about Bellator. Sorry, guys, earlier. Forgot to mention it. All right, so Bellator, that's this Friday. Pitbull versus Carvalho, and there's 4 fights that have odds. We won't do the other fights. Patricio Pitbull versus Pedro Carvalho, 5 rounds. I think it's 5 rounds, right, Cole? Featherweight division?
Yeah.
And we got Pitbull minus 800, Carvalho plus 550. Question is, how does Pitbull win the fight? I think he probably knocks him out. What do you think?
Yeah, that's what I think too. I think Carvalho's really good on the ground. A lot of submission wins. I don't think Pitbull's going to try to go there. I think he's going to stand. I think he's going to catch Carvalho probably second and third round. I think it's going to be a knockout.
Yeah.
Pitbull to everyone has been a favorite to win this thing, and I think he picked Carvalho for a reason.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Cole. I like Pitbull, and it's funny because people were like, "Oh, he took the easy way out and he took Carvalho." Why would you not? Why would you not take the easiest guy? Of course you would, right? So I'm with you, Cole. I like him quite a bit here. I think he wins this fight probably in the first or second round by knockout. I mean, I know he goes to decision quite a bit, but you look who goes to decision with, usually really elite guys. Next fight is a rematch between Daniel Weichel and Emmanuel Sanchez. Sanchez minus 160, Weichel plus 140. Give me your pick.
It's kind of interesting because Sanchez is the favorite. He lost the first fight. It was a really close fight. I still like Emmanuel Sanchez. I think he's one of the best featherweights in Bellator. Daniel Weichel has a lot of experience. It's going to be interesting because whoever wins this is going to fight Pitbull. Pitbull's already beat him. I think Weichel twice, Sanchez just once.
Yeah.
So I think Pitbull, and that's part of the reason why I picked Carvalho. He had the way easier side of the bracket, so he didn't have to face McKee, Caldwell, Borks, any of those guys. I think Sanchez wins, and I think probably by decision. It is 5 rounds, just because all the Grand Prix matches are now 5 rounds. So maybe he might be able to finish Weichel in 5 rounds, but I'll take Sanchez by decision.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on this one, Cole. I like Sanchez, but I don't love him, because Weichel did fight him before and he did win. And Weichel's underrated, but both guys I think are pretty underrated, to be honest with you. But I'm with you in that. Obviously, he made the right choice. Pitbull taking the side of the bracket. I mean, anyone with a brain would have. And people saying that they would have taken the other side. That's what happens when you're dumb and you're like Derek Campos and you call it Adrian McKee in the first round. He could have taken someone else. He could have taken Carvalho, Cole, Derek Campos, and he took the hardest guy to fight. That's not smart. So I think Pitbull did the smart thing and took the easiest fight, and he's probably going to beat Carvalho, and then he'll probably beat the winner of this fight, and then fight McKee or whatever Caldwell in the main event and in the finals. The other one, I can't see anyone but Pitbull emerging from this side of the bracket, though. Honestly, Cole. All right, next up, Paul Daly versus Sabah Homasi. Daly minus 410, Homasi plus 330. What do you think?
That's kind of interesting because Daly a couple 2-3 months ago said I'm never fighting in the States again, and now here he is fighting in the States. But I don't know why Bellator wants this matchup so much because this fell apart and they rebooked it. I think Paul Daly wins this fight rather easy. I think he probably knocks out Homasi. We've seen Homasi get knocked out before in the UFC. Daly has a lot of power. I think this is a fight for him to get a win and probably get a stoppage win.
Yeah, Homasi's not very good. 5 knockout losses in 21 fights. That's not a very good ratio. Paul Daly's got thunder in his hands. He is older now, obviously 37, but still got the power, Cole. Saw it against the WAD. Paul Daly by knockout, probably first or second round. Last fight with odds here, Anatoly Tokov minus 1,100 against Fabio Aguiar plus 700. How does Tokov win?
Yeah, you have to favor Tokov. Don't bet it. It's just stupid odds. But, I mean, probably Smith Aguiar. Tokov gets a lot of submission wins. I think that's probably how he wins, but I wouldn't even look at betting this fight.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Don't bet a minus 1,100 favorite here. Tokov will win, but probably by stoppage, but I wouldn't bet on that. There's a couple of fights with no odds out, but I do want to talk about them quickly. Matt Mitrione's taking on Ronnie Marks. Mitrione obviously filling on very short notice for Josh Barnett. You broke the story with him getting pulled from the card. I like Matt Mitrione here, Cole. I know he's taking on short notice, man, but the speed, the power, the size, Matt Mitrione by knockout in the first round. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I like Mitrione too. Ronnie Marks is a guy I've never been really high on in PFL. He just always missed weight. He just never looked good in PFL either. I know he got some wins, but I think even though he's moving up for light heavyweight, I still think he's going to be a slower guy. I don't think he's going to have as much power. I think it's going to be Mitrione's going to land something big pretty early.
Yeah, he's not that good. Just going to the prelims, Cole, there's actually a pretty good set of prelims here. You got a couple notable names here. Leslie Smith's fighting on the card. Nick Newell, Leandro Higo, Kimbo Slice Jr., and a couple other people like Justin Sumter, Michael Kimball. Any prelims stand out to you?
Yeah, this is one of the better prelims. I know Bellator, I think, likes to do this with the DAZN cards. I think they like to stack the prelims on a normal Paramount card where I think it's a lot of just local guys, but they do have a lot of notable guys like Gracie Jr., Leslie Smith, Sumter's guy looks good. Mike Kimball's a guy that I know he's struggled lately, but he's a guy they've really tried to promote. And like Ion Pascu, he's a guy that's had a lot of notable fights at Bellator. I think prelims are pretty solid, but yeah, I think this card is a really good Bellator card for what it is.
Who's this person that Leslie Smith's fighting? Jessie Meal. Who is this? I gotta check her out. Jessie the Widow. Oh, that's funny. Her nickname is the Widowmaker, and Leslie Smith's the Peacemaker. I know her. I know. 9-3. She beat Toledo Nogueira in her last fight. I don't really know her too well, but I don't know if odds come out on that. Would be interesting. Actually, Bellator. A lot of times the preliminary odds come out like the day of the fight or the day before. So definitely keep your eyes on, because I've noticed that the last few cards, Cole, they'll pop out a few hours before the event, and you don't have much time to put that in. But if you want to prelims here, keep an eye out on the best fight odds page and just keep refreshing on Friday probably. Maybe something will pop up. So yeah, that's it for that card. Let's get some questions and we'll talk about UFC 248 quickly. Let's get to some comments here. Mazdak Amirani, blame the ref for being competent, but Kevin Lee won his fight against Chiesa fair and square. Well, he did win the fight, but Mario Yamasaki is one of the worst referees in MMA, and he doesn't even do the UFC anymore. Cole, Dana White banned him from UFC events, which is funny. That was a terrible stop. I know you're like the biggest Kevin Lee fan. You can admit that was a terrible stoppage.
Yeah, it was not good, and that's why Yamasaki's not a ref.
Yeah, it was bad. I saw this video yesterday. It was like the worst stoppages in UFC history. And again, I talked about this the other day. Um, uh, Basically, like a lot of the bad stoppages are submissions, not really knockouts. So when you see a knockout bad stoppage like the Cutelaba fight, that's kind of rare. It's usually submissions like that one where a guy thinks the guy's tapping early, or
the Drew Dober one that was
yeah,
really
the Drew
bad.
Dober fight. I was just going to mention that Drew Dober versus Leandro Silva, the worst ever. The guy was in half guard on the bottom, and the referee stopped it. Eduardo Hurdy, terrible ref as well. But fights like Askren versus Lawler, fights like that. Nasdaq Amaranth, can you guys be more thoughtful in talking about MMA fighters? I think we're pretty damn thoughtful, man, to be completely honest with you. But we respect your opinion as well. Kevin Scott, I'll get to yours in a sec, Marcus. Kevin Scott, Abdul Razak Al-Hassan getting cleared adds another name to the mix at 170. His last fight with a KO win over Price. Who do you want to see him fight in his return? Cole, I'll let you do this one because I know you're a big fan of this guy as well.
Yeah, it should be interesting. He's a guy that a lot of hype behind him. I think he should get a ranked guy. I'd love to see even a guy like Robbie Lawler or someone like Vicente Luque, someone like that to really bring out a fire fight.
I was thinking Luque. I think that's just a fun fight. They haven't fought each other. They have that common opponent in Price, right? I think they both fought Price, if I'm not mistaken. Luque fight Price or no? Can't remember now.
I don't think so.
Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. Can't even remember at this point. No, he didn't. Sorry, he fought Mike Perry. I don't know why I got this guy confused. Actually, no, he did fight Nico Price.
Yeah, he did.
Cole's memory's the bad one. Come on, Cole. You're a young guy, man. You gotta have better memory than that. But yeah, they both have that common opponent, so I think that'd be a fun fight. All right, Marcus, I'm gonna get your questions now. I'd like to know how Cole scored Joanna versus Zhang and Yoel versus Israel. Okay, so 1 second on that. He has another comment here. One thing I noticed from UFC 248 was I'm not seeing any type of urgency from Mike Brown and Yoel's other cornerman to tell Yoel to turn up between championship rounds. Interesting observation. Where were you sitting, by the way, Marcus? I'm curious as to where you sat. When I was there, I sat up top because, man, those tickets are expensive. But anyways, Cole, I haven't given you a chance to talk about the main and co-main event. I'll give my scorecard again. I gave them yesterday. I scored the main event 48-47 for Israel Adesanya. I gave Yoel round 1 and 2 and Israel rounds 3, 4, and 5 to win a very ugly unanimous decision. And then in the other fight, I did score for Zhang 48-47, rounds 1, 2, and 5 for Zhang, rounds 3 and 4 for Joanna. All right, so give me your scorecards and tell Marcus what you scored it.
Main event, I had 4-1 Izzy. I had 2-5. I would have had no problem if you were 3-2 Yoel, 3-2 Izzy. That was just a fight where those rounds at the end of it, you're like, who won that one? It was, I think Adesanya did enough. I just think when Romero doesn't even land 10 strikes around, I think it's hard to give him a fight. I see his manager saying, like, oh, Yoel won that fight. Like, you didn't throw double-digit strikes in any round. Maybe the fifth, I think you might have, but you're not going to win a fight like that. Zhang Joanna, I had Joanna 48-47, but again, that was a super close one where some of those rounds were like, it could have easily gone to Zhang. I'm not saying like robbery or anything. When I went to scorecards, I'm like,
definitely not.
I have Joanna, but if Zhang wins, like, I totally understand that. Like, this is a fight that was super close. I like what did I have? 2-4-5, I think, or 2-3-4. Sorry, for Joanna, 1-5 for Zhang. But again, that second, fifth round, I think those rounds were kind of swing rounds that could have went either way. So I'm not mad at Zhang winning. I'd like to see him run it back eventually. I don't think immediately. I'd like to see only unless Andrade beats Namajunas, then I think you're going to get Joanna Zhang too.
Yeah, I mean, those scorecards were fine. Like, the Joanna fight was super close. I just thought Zhang, she did more damage, quite frankly, Cole, and I think that's why she won the fight. I think that's why the judges gave it to her. But again, my scorecard was different than yours. And if you look at the judges' scorecards, all three of them had completely different scorecards, different rounds. It's just one of those fights, Cole, where, okay, anyone who says robbery is an idiot, okay, because it's not even close to being a robbery. That bothers me, that word. That's not used for fights like that. Robbery is a fight like Diego Sanders versus Ross Pearson. That's a robbery. That's a robbery where one guy should win 30-27, the other guy wins 30-27. That's a robbery. It's not when it's a close fight that is a split decision that can go either way. Anyways, Marcus has a question here. I was sitting 3 rows behind the media. Yoel's cornermen, especially Mike Brown, were too relaxed while 10-year-old before rounds 4 and 5 started. I was absolutely shocked by how, like, little urgency he showed in this fight, Cole. I was disgusted, to be honest with you. Like, a guy that gets gifted an opportunity to fight for the belt, and I'm a big Yoel Romero fan. He's awesome, but his stock went down so much after this fight, Cole. Like, no one cares about him anymore. All of a sudden, like, he's the most feared guy. No one cares about him now. And quite frankly, Cole, I think Israel's stock went down too. I saw him on Ariel's show yesterday. He's like, I think my stock went up, but only a little. Yeah, I don't agree with that at all, Cole. His stock went down, quite frankly. I can't see anyone being as interested in seeing Israel fight like a guy like John Jones now after this performance.
Oh, I think that ruined all the hype for that fight. That fight was.
It's not
I'm
happening.
still really excited for Adesanya Costa, though. I think that's gonna be a good fight.
Cole, I think Costa's got a good chance to win that fight.
I think he does too because he goes forward and
Yes,
he's a guy that's not going to play into Adesanya's counter-strike game.
I agree. He's going to go for it, and that's why I thought Yoel was going to do in this fight. But you look at Costa and Yoel, I think that's what this fight's going to be like. I think it's going to be Costa pushing forward with reckless abandon. Honestly, if he gets finished by counter, I think he's okay with it. He's just going to keep pushing forward and move forward and try to knock Izzy out. I don't know if he knocks him out or what happened in that fight. I got to think about it some more, but I definitely think that I'm not saying I favor Costa to win. I think Israel's going to be the favorite in that fight, considering he's the champion, undefeated, and all that stuff. But Costa has a really good chance to win that fight. Did you see the video of Costa knocking out Logan Paul?
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Real or fake?
I think it was fake.
I thought you said you talked to someone that was real. What happened?
I think they're just trying to hype the
What
video.
did he say? Come on, Waleed, talk to you. What do you say?
Yeah, he said it was real, but I don't think it's real.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But it's funny, right?
Yeah.
Now, did you watch the video?
Yeah.
His wrestling looked good, right?
It did. Well, he did wrestling all through high, so I know it's in Ohio, but yeah, it looked pretty impressive.
Does Logan Paul get signed by the UFC?
I hope not.
I think he does. I
don't think he'd do very well.
Either by the end of this year or the end of next year. If it's not the UFC, I think he fights for Bellator. Its own, whatever it is. He's going to fight an MMA, Cole. There's just too much money to be made. You know what's sad, Cole? You saw the salaries for UFC 248, right? Juana made, okay, it's disgusting. You know what? Let's go through the salaries. I didn't even talk about them. We didn't talk about these. They are sickening. And, I know the argument is they don't release all the salaries, so some fighters can be sent wire transfers. They don't have to pay taxes on it. I get that. That does make some sense to me, but I'm not convinced they're getting paid significantly more. The one that really just disgusted me was Zhang and Joanna. Zhang 100 and 100 for a champ in a co-main event, a pay-per-view where the UFC is making millions, and Joanna getting 106,000 for that absolute war. That's gross, Cole.
Yeah, and I hate the win show split. It's so stupid. Like the UFC goes, it's because they're gonna motivate them to try to win. Every fighter's motivated to win. Like you don't have to hold 50% of their pay. Like,
look at Bellator. They do that sometimes with guys like Ryan Bader. He has a straight pay. He doesn't get paid win bonus, and I like that. But yeah, even Yoel getting paid $350. Like looking back on it, yeah, he's probably overpaid for that performance. But still, for a guy headlining a card and goes for Izzy too, 500,000, you'd think they would be getting paid seven figures at least, right? For a guy headlining a pay-per-view, Cole. I'm not going to complain too much. I mean, they're still making hundreds of thousands. That's pretty good, but still headlining pay-per-view, he's going to make a lot of money from. But you go down to the prelim school, some of these guys getting paid like 10,000, like Joel Emmers, like the biggest MMA promotion in the world, paying guys like 110,000. By the way, how messed up is it that Alex Oliveira made more money than Joanna? How messed up is that?
Yeah.
And he did have a good fight and a good performance, but still. And Neil Magny made more money than Joanna. Come on, what is this? Joanna's management. Come on, guys. Get your fighter paid. Seriously. 106,000 for that war. And it's not even just that. She's been a former champ. She's one of the most popular fighters. Get your fighter paid. Stupid. All right, Marcus, what do you think about Diego Ferreira fighting Drew Dober next? You messaged about this. He says, from Ang's point of view, I think it's a step backwards. This fight's stupid too, Cole. What the heck is this?
Yeah, I don't like it at all. I think Diego's going to win. I think he's better striker, better grappler. But I don't like it at all. He should have been fighting a ranked guy.
He's 35. He's not even young. So it's like he's got to get going now up the rankings. Like, what's the point of holding him back, really? I know, hey, listen, Dober's looked good. He had that nice winning attack for us. He looked good in that fight, but still, that's crazy. The only thing I can say is a lot of these guys are booked right now at 155, so it's not easy to kind of like get fights, but maybe he should have waited a bit because he's ranked number 11. He's taking on a guy who's unranked. What about Gillespie? He doesn't have a fight book. Why didn't Ferrer fight Gillespie 11 versus 12? I know Gillespie coming off a loss, but still a much higher ranked fighter than Drew Dober's not even close to being ranked. I think he's probably like, 30th overall, maybe?
I thought Ali Kinda made a lot of sense for Diego.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that fight recently on the podcast, and I agree completely with that one. By the way, Barboza's ranked number 10, and I don't know if you've talked to Edson, but he has requested his release from the UFC. And We haven't heard anything yet. Do you think he gets released, and where do you think he goes next?
Yeah, I was talking to him and his manager, and they said they're not going to do any interviews until they have a meeting with the UFC set up. They said they're still talking to them to set up a meeting. I doubt he's going to get released. I think he's an exciting guy. I think
Yeah.
UFC will just say, "Hey, here's some more money."
You would hope
And
thing, or I don't know. Like he hasn't fought in a while. Like maybe he's trying to get a fight booked. They just haven't booked him. He's moving down to 145. I think he could be super dangerous at 145. I will say this though, Cole. He gets released. He got to be one of the favorites to win that PFL tournament.
oh, I think go PFL lightweight and be like I think PFB makes so much sense in PFL.
PFL, I think he should stay at lightweight because I think Shelton is an easier matchup for him than fighting at 145 against Lance Palmer.
Yeah,
that's a bad matchup for him. So to me, that's a fight that makes sense for him. Adam, can you pull up when Joanna was paid when she was champ? Marcus asked that. Let me just pull up. Sorry, give me 1 second here, Marcus. It's not easy to find this stuff. Oh my god. Spelling her name is such a nightmare, Cole. I'm so glad that this event's over, man. Between her and who's the other guy with the brutal name? Can't remember now. Who was it, Cole? Who else had a tough name to spell? Can't remember. We were talking about the chat room on. Remember? Safarov. I can't remember now. All right. So on J check. All right. Let's see here. UFC 217 salaries. Let me check that out. They do that because in New York release salaries.
I'm not sure.
They do. Actually, they do. Okay, so UFC 217, they have it on Wikipedia. Joanna made 160,000, 120 to show, and $40,000 Reebok. Actually, we didn't mention the Reebok, so that is something to pull up as well. I think she gets paid like whatever a challenger gets paid there. But it seemed like, according to these numbers, Marcus, she was actually getting paid a little bit more as a champ. So that's interesting. Let me check UFC 205 too. Salaries there. It's not easy to find the salaries. That's another thing I really despise about MMA. Like it's so hard to figure out what these guys are paid. Like so stupid. Like look at other sports, Cole. Like they release the breakdowns and like the salary cap hit. Why don't we have that in MMA? Like why do they have to be so secretive? It's bizarre. You know, it's 2020. Like
I think it's because it's low.
Yeah, it's low, yeah, but it's just such an antiquated system, man. Like hiding the money, the win show thing. It's all antiquated from boxing from years ago. I think we need a significant change, but that's not going to happen unless they get a union, which that's another discussion. All right, guys, any more questions? Throw them in here. I'll just talk a little bit more about UFC 248 with Cole. Man, that Dariush fight, Cole. Holy crap, what a fight that was, eh? Like that was one of the better. That 1 minute in the second round was sick. Crazy.
It's like Cormier's like, I gave him the fight in the night check, and then next fight, it's like, you're not getting that anymore.
Well, I'm glad Dariush got the win bonus. You know, Dariush is another guy, Cole. What about Dariush against Ferreira? That fight would have made more sense, right?
Yeah, especially because Dariush beat Drew Gilbert, and Dariush is a guy that was ranked, and I know he had that tough stretch, and he said it was like some neck thing where he would get hit once, and it would just like.
Quite frankly, he should be ranked. You know, I like Makhachev. He's a good fighter. Why is he ranked? Who is he beating? Davey Ramos and Austin Hubbard? Why is he ranked, Cole? Tell me.
It's because he's part of Habib's crew.
Exactly. Marcus, considering how long Joanna was champ, I'm so shocked she's paid so low. 100% agreed. And, you know, compared to a lot of other fighters, getting paid $100,000 is great, but she's a championship level fighter. By the way, Cole, I got to ask you about this because I already talked about this on the morning show, but Valentina's comments about Weili Zhang, saying she's not an elite fighter and that when she fights a step up, she's going to lose. She sounded so jealous, Cole. What do you think, man?
Yeah, she's definitely an elite fighter, but I don't know. If she fights Rose, I think I'd favor Rose in that fight, though. I get where she's coming from. Like, I think she fights Andrade again. I think she wins. I think she fights Joanna again. I think that's a toss-up. Like, that's like a 50-50 fight. I think she beats most strawweights, but I think Rose would be a pick'em fight. Like, I still think I wouldn't be surprised if she lost her belt in her next fight, or I wouldn't be surprised if she goes on like a 10-fight title defense. Like, I think she's one or either the best or the second with strawweight behind Rose Namajunas, and I think she's elite. I think Shevchenko's mad that people are starting to think of talking about this Zhang fight that she'd have a chance to get Shevchenko, but I personally don't think Zhang would have a shot against Shevchenko 125, but Zhang is an elite fighter. She's one of the best women's fighters in the world.
100%. It was just really weird comments, quite frankly. What else, Cole? What else is there? I saw that Stipe says he's coming back this summer against DC. So I don't know if you saw. I'm actually going to write the article as soon as it's over. Saw that. I mean, the only fight that makes sense is Stipe. I mean, that's not fair to say, actually. There's a lot of fights that make sense for Stipe right now. Nagano, Rosenstruck, Blades. But it seems like DC is going to be next for him.
Yeah, I think the trilogy has to happen. But, man, Stipe, like the heavyweight division, Stipe can't just have to – he only fights once a year. Like, you got to start fighting more than that.
I agree. You know, something I didn't talk about in the podcast today was the whole Brian Ortega, Jay Park, Korean Zombie thing. It seems so stupid to me. Any thoughts on this, Cole?
Yeah, I don't really understand it. It's just so dumb. I just think it's setting up an Ortega Zombie fight, which should be good, but
yeah, no, it's stupid. And by the way, guys, you know, someone who's dating an interpreter, they're called interpreters. Waleed Ishmael, he's a manager, but he's also an interpreter. They're not called translators. Translators is when you write it out and you translate something written. Interpreters when you interpret their speech. So that's something that just become a pet peeve of mine because my girlfriend's an interpreter. She's always like, why are they calling him a translator? You know, but you see some people like Michael Bisping says the interpreter, but the other these guys say like, oh, the translator's coming in. But Bisping's the one guy who says it right. He's an interpreter. And Brian Stain used to say that right too. But it's just a little pet peeve of mine, which is so silly now. But again, that's what happens when you date someone that has the job. What else do we got here? Well, I'm just looking at BJ Penn, seeing what else news happened the last few days. Corey Sandhagen against Dominic Cruz. You think this happens? It could, but if I'm him, I'm looking for Aljamain Sterling instead.
I think Sterling's still out for a bit, though, with that hand. I think that's been a problem for him, and I think Sandhagen needs to fight, and I think Cruz makes sense. Co-main event, that'd be a really good San Diego card. Poirier Hooker, and then Cruz Sandhagen, that'd be a really good top two fights.
For sure. Marcus just sent me some numbers. UFC 211, Andrade, or Joanna versus Andrade. Yeah. He made 150 to 115 to win and 40,000 reebok. Yeah, that sounds about right. But it does seem like her show money's gone down since she's lost the title, which, I mean, if you're the UFC, you're playing hardball, I guess, for every last dollar, but it's just kind of stupid. Like, they just need to pay their fighters better, man. You know, you put on a fight like that. Here's the other thing, Cole. That was one of the greatest fights I've ever seen, right? Why didn't they go to the press conference and say, you know what, guys, we're actually going to give them 100,000 tonight because we want to reward them. Why not? What's another 100,000?
They're cheap.
They're cheap. It pisses me off, man. Honestly, like, you have two fighters literally going to die in the cage. They were ready to die for that belt. Give them 100,000 each. You have the money to do it. Just bothers me. All right, just a couple other things here. Sean O'Malley, Cole. I was thinking John Dodson would be a good fight. What do you think?
Don't want to see him. I don't think he's ready for rank. I'd want to see guys like Brian Kelleher, Andre Ewell, get another 1-2 fights this year, just like that, and then get starting ranked guys. He's
been fighting guys like that, Cole, and he's destroying them, man.
He's had 3 UFC fights.
Yeah, and he's beaten them all decisively. He hasn't had a close fight, really. So, I don't know. I think it's time for a ranked guy, but again, he's only 25, but he's missed so much time, Cole. I think it's just time for him to get a step up. Had he fought the last 2 years, Cole, he'd be fighting guys in the top 15 right now.
He'd be a top 10 bantamweight already.
Exactly. So, I guess I can see what you're saying, but to me, it's like, yeah, I guess Kelleher, actually, that would be a good fight. Someone mentioned that yesterday. That would be a fun fight. I'm okay with that one, I guess. But I think Dodson looking at top 15 would be a good fight and an interesting challenge. And just looking, throughout the card as well. Let's see here. Do you think this Rodolfo Vieira guy, you think he gets like a push up quickly or what?
I don't know how good he would be striking-wise. Like, he's just so dangerous grappling, but
he got cut open pretty good in this fight.
Yeah. I don't think he was getting out of that first round. Like, if he went to I think they would stop that. It was not good, that cut. Like, his eye was shut.
And this is why me and Cole, we always say, don't lay like juice on minus 1,000 favorites. Cole, if that fight went to the end of the round, you would have lost. You probably wouldn't have doctor stopped the fight. That's what I think would happen. Marcus TV, who does Sterling fight next with Sandhagen and Cruz off the table? I'm guessing Frankie Edgar.
I think Frankie Edgar too.
To me, I would have rather seen Sandhagen versus Sterling and Edgar versus Cruz. Legends fight Edgar versus Cruz. That to me made more sense, but UFC does what they do. And yeah, anyways, if there's anything else, guys, throw them in here right now. But I'm gonna let Cole just plug his stuff, and we're gonna get out of here. So Cole, go ahead.
Twitter Echo Show 91. This week I talked to Gilbert Burns, Renato Mercado, all fighter picks in the main event, and I talked to Pitbull and Carvalho, all for BJ Penn, everything else is always on my Twitter.
Awesome, Cole. Thanks, Ben, for joining me. You guys can check me on Twitter at MMAdamMartin, and I'm available at bjpenn.com, MMAoddsbreaker.com. That's the home of this podcast. And MMA Ratings.net have an article about Romero and Israel Adesanya, how their stocks went down after that horrible fight on the weekend. But still, man, that fight between Yan and Zhang, that was like the highlight of the weekend, Cole. That could be the highlight of the year, quite frankly. It's one of the greatest fights we've ever seen. And hopefully this weekend's fights in UFC Brasilia are just as good, if not better, hopefully. Guys, thanks again for tuning in. Really appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow for the Wednesday edition of the show. Have a great day. Bye.